So I'm looking at the subject of why less young people are going to the theatre, and I kind of tackled it from a lot of different angles, and I've looked at different websites, I've looked at my own friends from both different stages in life, and looking at drama students and non-drama students, and it was just kind of looking at why, and like looking at certain young people being like 16 to 25-ish, because I feel like there is definitely a lot less young people. When I go to theatre, it's full of kind of an older generation, and looking at why that is, and if it's a reason where it's like, okay, fair enough, or if it's just pure like can't be asked.
What do you think it is? You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
What do you think it is? What do you think the reason why more young people don't go to the theatre?
Personally, I think it's just purely, first of all, they just don't really understand quite what it's about, and they don't realise how many different genres of theatre and like types of theatre there are. Mm-hmm. And if they only kind of look at one, if they only ever see musicals in their life, they go, that's not for me, they'll immediately go, all theatre's not for me, even though there are so many different types of theatre. And there's a lot of, I'm sitting in a room watching people do things and it's just really dull. But it's, what's different to that than sitting in a room and watching a movie, you know?
Okay, so what do you guys think?
Sorry, you go first. Okay. I think, I've got a couple of points. First is that I think to play against your argument, everyone does have different passions and different interests. It's like, I personally wouldn't find going to a football game very interesting or a rugby game very interesting. So I think that's something that kind of plays. I think a lot of people nowadays use money as an excuse, which is fair enough. If you want to go see The Lion King in London and want to pay £100 for that, then that's the problem. Yeah. But I mean, me and Abby go and see plays at National Theatre like for £7 a ticket front row. So I don't think there's any excuse for that. But
Could you say it's about the type of theatre being produced?
Well,
so what is available to people to go and see? Like obviously, there's like thousands and thousands of genres of theatre, but what's actually being said, like in a play or in a musical, and like, is it relevant to young people? Because if it's not relevant to them, like young people in particular probably aren't going to be as interested. But if it's relevant to an older generation who probably have more money as well, the theatre companies may well say, well, that's where our profit is, that's where the money is.
Well, I think a lot of theatre makers and playwrights try and be as kind of new and exciting as possible, so they'll think what's relevant now, whether it's to do with like the economy, politics, just like general social constructs or everything, which I think then more and more people or playwrights are doing things that are a lot more relevant today, and even if and a lot of them are like new playwrights, they'll be very small companies. I think a lot of them aren't advertised. The only advertisements I see for plays are like in London tubes, and they're for London theatres, and so people who don't live in London will never get exposed to them, which I think is a massive issue.
You need more exposure of smaller groups and stuff, and I think getting outside of the theatre world, because you get what I mean, it gets quite confined to a group of people that enjoy theatre and that know about theatre and that want to see theatre, and then you have everyone on the outside that doesn't really understand it. So I think maybe it's more about getting out what it's about necessarily to people that don't know.
But I'll have friends. A lot of my friends don't do drama. They're not into the whole like theatre scene. And they'll come and like if I'm in a little play, even if it's just like a little college one, they'll come and support me. And even though they're coming just because I'm like in the background, they'll still say, oh, it was actually like a really fun experience. But they still won't go to the theatre, even though they enjoyed going to the theatre in like college. They still won't go, and a lot of that is money. But you can, if you subscribe to certain websites and certain like companies and subscriptions, they do send you really good offers for like. And although the seating might not be as great, it'll still be an incredible production. I went to see Kinky Boots, and I was in the stalls at the very back, and the tickets like £15. But if I went right to the top and saw all the things, they would be a lot more expensive. But I still had an incredible time. I saw everything. It's like they were meant to be restricted view, but it wasn't. I
They
think
never are that restricted.
yeah, exactly.
Are they? Yeah.
I had an incredible time for a cheap ticket.
Yeah, I think feeding on from what you said, it's to do with marketing, and because there's a lot of preconceived ideas with young people, especially because they're like, oh, theatre's just something really expensive that I can't afford. But like Lily said, there's always like if as long as it's marketised to young people, so like the National will do entry pass tickets for £7.50. It's just to do with like awareness, I think. And
Yeah.
like you said, yeah, it's only really available in London.
Yeah.
Like they don't, unless you've looked at it online and then it comes up as adverts, you just wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't come up as a option.
But it draws, I think, into a bigger or a wider issue, and I think all of the points that you guys are talking about is absolutely true. I think people do use money as an excuse. I don't think money is necessarily an excuse, but there is also taste. You might not want to, but it's also the bit like you said, which I think is interesting. People who come and watch you because they know you, they come and watch you, and they go, actually, I really enjoyed it, but they don't go back. And I think that is the biggest problem with everything.
Yeah.
Anything that you create is getting people to continue to return.
Yeah.
And how it sets it, you know, for example, if you've got, and there are loads of theatres around the country who outside of London that make amazing theatre, but the problem is you always have to think about your captive audience. And the analogy I always use is if you start a radio station or a podcast, right, and it's about football, you have an immediate captive audience because it's about something tangible. You narrow yourself because only fans of that thing will then watch it or listen to it or engage with it. But on the flip side of that, if you create something that's broader, then you don't have the immediate captive audience, but you then potentially can feed into a broader audience because it's not about something specific.
Yeah.
And the last thing is making theatre that is appealing to young people, or what you said, Char, about making theatre that is about or interesting and engaging, relevant, yeah. Well, we would just get 200 plays a year about Snapchat and Instagram and Love Island. So actually, for me, art is about trying to push people to think outside of their own existence. I don't want to go and watch a play that is about something that a Netflix, people's obsession with Netflix. That doesn't interest me because that's not. Even though it might be more relevant, it's not what, to me, art is about. It's about challenging people and making people change their perception of something. I think, what were you going to say, Abs?
Like, there is, like, a star factor about it. So if, like, someone, like a really famous actor is in something, that's going to appeal just to that.
Yeah.
Whereas there'll be smaller plays with, like, not as well-known actors, but then people won't choose to go to that because... But that actually might be really good. Yeah. But people, because they don't know who's in it, they won't.
But it's the struggle of something like the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. You take work to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and you're competing again. Why would people pay £10 to go and see something they've never heard of when they could pay £15 to go and watch Jason Manford do some stand up? Yeah. Aren't. A lot of people are, but they're not adventurous enough because they don't want to. They don't want to go and see something,
money.
Yeah, you can go to the Vaults Festival on any given day. It's on for an entire month and pick 5 things at random, and the quality will be exceptional. Even if it's not your thing and you don't like it, the quality will be good, and you can pick up tickets for £5-6. So you could go to Vault Festival for an entire day, spend £20, and go and watch 4 pieces of different types of theatre. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing is that it's not cool. Theatre isn't cool. Kids would rather go and walk around Urban Outfitters for 3 hours than go and watch theatre because it's not cool.
They'd prefer to go to see a film, whereas it's not that different.
No, of course it's not.
So, like, it's just like they would rather go to the cinema than go see theatre, which I don't understand why.
No, I don't either. What were you going to say, Sean?
That's a good point. Why is it you think that film is a more entertaining visual medium than theatre, which has been around for a lot longer?
I honestly couldn't tell you because I personally don't like saying this, but I think theatre's really cool.
Yeah, I do too. We're all theatre nerds.
I don't see why it isn't uncool, but I'm saying that as a dance.
I think I don't know if you agree, but I think it's probably because it's everywhere. every town, every small town has a cinema, and in that cinema has the new Avengers movie, which will make billions of dollars because everyone engages with it. Whereas you don't have that accessibility. You don't see buses driving around London with a black box theatre show on it, but you see a big poster for Avengers. Or you don't drive past Battersea Power Station and see bridges with, do you know what I mean? It doesn't make as much money, so therefore it doesn't have as much money to put back into the industry, I think.
Yeah, perhaps we should have more screenings then from theatres, but screen them in cinemas as well. Like for example, 12 Nights. I know.
Yeah,
I went to one myself
more.
of 12 Nights, and it was amazing. I mean, there wasn't actually that many people in the cinema who weren't English students who are going there anyway. but even so, that might be, if there was more of that, that might be a better way to actually get people more interested in the theatre.
They've been doing that a lot for Matthew Bourne's productions.
Yeah, there's a lot of dance and ballet and things in the cinemas.
Especially because it is easier as well to watch through film, because sometimes it's quite hard, I think, to necessarily watch theatre, like a drama kind of theatre, through film, whereas it can be a bit easier to watch it through dance, but it's definitely something that's taken off a lot with dance companies.
But it's always the big productions.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that I don't know if it's relevant to what you're exploring, but why do you have to pay more? You go to watch NT Live, a cinema ticket's what, 12 quid? Something like that, and you pay 22 quid to go and watch Cat on a Hot Tin Roof in the cinema. And that to me defeats the purpose. I was under the impression that the purpose of stuff like that was to try and encourage people and make it accessible. And actually what it does is, why would you, unless you have a direct interest in theatre, which most of us would, we're not the ones that need to be captured. And actually going to somewhere like the Battersea Arts Centre or the Camden People's Theatre and live streaming a black box studio piece in the cinema, again, there's this assumption that, well, no one would go and watch it. Well, how do you know unless you try? But it's a big risk to try because obviously a cinema scale production costs a lot of money. And I think a lot of people now, I mean, Brighton where I live is a pretty trendy town anyway, but a lot of people are going to independent cinemas because they still like the cinema experience, but they don't want to go to kind of mainstream cinema because... Probably because they're a bit pretentious, I think. I'm being one of them, because I don't want to have to deal with the general public. Whereas theatre, I think we have to try and make theatre less exclusive. But it's even a struggle to get drama students to go and watch theatre. So if they're not going to go and watch it, why would someone who has no viable interest in theatre go?
Well, I think, for me personally, first of all, I think cinema's a lot more people want to go see it more because of, first of all, the stars who star in it, and it's been advertised, sometimes it's advertised for years before it even comes out, while theatre obviously is not. And, it's just kind of a lot easier almost, even if it is being played. Because personally, there's 5 cinemas near me, and I live in a very rural area, but theatres, I've got 2 youth theatres that do a Peter Pan pantomime over Christmas. And I just can't. And I personally, that's obviously
It's not your thing.
Yeah.
And
it's just it's difficult.
Cool.
For me to go see that.
Then don't.
Yeah, exactly. Then I end up not going to the theatre at all.
Sure.
And I find, I going back to advertising, I don't see any advertisements for small theatres and everything. And I'm signed up to I'm signed up to the Stage and all those kind of subscriptions. Yeah.
Do you think one of the problems with students, especially secondary school students, is that because they are almost forced to look at drama in a certain way during GCSE, so for example, they'll be forced to go see The Woman in Black or something they might not enjoy, drama, or in English literature they'll be forced to analyse to death Romeo and Juliet or something like that. Do you think that is why they sort of view theatre in a negative way? It's
I think that's why people think it's uncool, is because I don't want to learn on a Saturday. That's why a lot of my friends are I don't want to read because it's educational. I'm well, not really.
But schools do ruin, or for a lot of kids they ruin Shakespeare. Because I mean, 99% of all the people I went to secondary school with who studied Shakespeare, they all hated it. I just happened to love it, and that was it.
I couldn't stand Shakespeare.
Yeah, but
I've studied it today.
because of the way that it's taught, and I think the way that it's kind of put across, you do have to, I think, acknowledge the fact that in the 21st century, as things are, we live in a very visual, pacey, quick society. So I think theatre probably does have to catch up a little bit, but it's kind of being stubborn. And then at the same time, if you look at somewhere like the National Theatre, the productions that they're putting on aren't particularly groundbreaking. You know, they're bringing, I was going to say bringing Schaefer back. That's not what it's called. They're bringing, why have I forgotten the name of it? Amadeus. They're bringing Amadeus back because it was successful. And I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's a very good production.
It is. It's amazing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's probably why they're bringing it back then. But the point is, if you have a new programme of theatre, it should be new. They should be making, rather than bringing something back. Now, I get the counter-argument. I think that, well, some people didn't get a chance to see it the first time round. So I understand that. But I also feel like, you know, you put Bryan Cranston in Network at the National Theatre, it's going to sell out because he's an A-list celebrity.
Yeah.
And people like me who love Breaking Bad will go and watch it. But is that what a national... I mean, this is not the question at all. I'm really sorry. I've just bogarted your thing.
Still...
But I think that's potentially something for you to look at moving forward, is how is theatre serving the population rather than why are young people not going to the theatre?
Yeah,
I think you could look at that.
Yeah.